I was terrified, so I began my swim back to the beach, and I just sat there with the waves lapping at my feet and crashing into my body, crying because Tara had been my rider mate for the last 6 days. I know you're saying, oh, well, it was just a dog and you didn't really know her that long. But I feel and felt overly responsible because she was showing that she was afraid of the water. So I'm not understanding why she would run out of her carrier and straight into the water. Maybe she thought that whatever that great thing was in the water was a threat to me, and she was trying to stop me from being hurt. She didn't understand that it couldn't get me on land. I looked and I looked for her. I couldn't find her. Nothing came back except her collar. It washed up on shore like 10 feet away from me. I was devastated. But the strange thing was, it looked as if her collar was just unclipped and taken off of her. There wasn't no bite marks, there wasn't no tearing, there wasn't anything that would signify that she was attacked or anything like that happened. There wasn't even any blood. Me being devastated, I just stood up and grabbed her collar and grabbed all my stuff and ran back to my bus, where I stayed for the next 2 days crying because I let my dog down and I should have known better. And in those 2 days, I had really insane dreams of Tara calling me to the waves. I had night terrors of multiple handprints all over my windows and doors. I had crazy dreams of eyes looking in my windows, staring at me. And it was just driving me insane. I knew I should have crunk up and drove off and just never looked back. But for some reason, I could never bring myself to turn the key. It was in the ignition, but I could never bring myself to turn the key and drive away. So after those 2 days, something strange started to happen. I would not leave the bus, but once I fell asleep and I woke up at the shore, this freaked me out and I ran back to the bus and I cleaned myself off and again wanted to crank up the bus and drive away because I've never slept walk in my life. But I couldn't. Instead, I pulled out my laptop and I sat on my laptop watching YouTube videos, trying to get this whole ordeal out of my mind, trying to wrap my head around understanding how a trip to the ocean has gone so terribly wrong. So, again, I locked myself in, watching YouTubes, trying to relax, talking to my friend in California. And the strange thing is, as we were talking, he started to realize and get very confused. He wanted to know why he had sold the bus and like how did this all come about. And truthfully, at this point, it was really foggy for me. And he was just completely confused. He was like he would never want to sell his bus and like it made no sense. And he spoke to me. He was like, could you please just take your money back and just give me back the bus? The bus is everything to me. And I told him, give me a few more days and I will definitely bring the bus back to you. It's no problem. I told him what happened to Tara, and I told him that, with everything that's gone on, I would never want to see this ocean and beach again. I went to bed after talking to him, and I woke up with the water lapping at my legs. I was terrified because, again, I had no clue how I made it from my bus all the way down the beach to the water. I scurried away from the water, dragging myself up the beach, and ran back into the bus and locked the door. But immediately after I locked the door and turned my back, I felt a bang, like something ran into the side of the bus. I looked out, but I couldn't see anything. All of a sudden, there was this strange fog that had rolled in and blocked out all of the other vehicles. This fog overtook the bus so quickly. One minute it was clear when I was running up the beach, and the next minute it was cold and foggy and just there was zero visibility. And then a handprint appeared on the window, and another, and another, and another, all over along the windows of the bus, which is in itself a feat because this is a big bus. I tried to see what left the handprints, but they would slap against the windows so quickly that it was hard to even make out what was happening. I sat in the bed, pulled my covers up, and I cried because all I could hear is them slapping against the bus windows all over the bus. And once they heard me whimpering towards the back of the bus, then most of the thumping and banging started in that area at the back of the bus. The next morning, I got up, I put on my clothes, I got behind the driver's seat, cranked up the bus, and noticed there was a bus behind me. And there were more vehicles in the way, and I couldn't go anywhere. I opened my door, I looked all over, I banged on the RV that had parked behind me, and several of the vans that was parked there that had been converted into, livable units, and no one answered. I banged and banged, trying to get them to move so that I could drive out of here. I had made it up in my mind that I was leaving. I was not staying. I don't know what that was last night, but I was not going to stay. I banged, and then finally I just gave up because I assumed that all of these people were out for the day and that I would have to wait till they returned to move their vehicles, which I felt like they were really inconsiderate for blocking me in like this. So I sat and I waited, and I overlooked and looked out at the ocean, and I just stared out there. It started to terrify me. It started to bring up memories of terror and the wanting to go home, the wanting to be away from this terrorizing ocean and go back to solid ground. At some point, night fell. I don't remember most of the day. I just remember waking up in the water up to my shoulders, freaking out, treading water back to land, and dragging myself up. I was exhausted. I was confused. And as I was crawling up, I turned to look to see that something was crawling out of the water behind me. I took off running back to my bus, and I just ran and ran. This thing was fast. It used its arms to drag itself up the sand. It moved as if swimming through the ocean was just as easy as walking on land. All I could say is it looked like a human, but at the same time, it wasn't. It didn't sound like a human. It didn't make noises or try to speak or anything. All I could hear is it shrieking behind me, and like the sound of thumps of its body banging against the sand and scratching across the concrete. I darted up into my bus and I went to slam the door, and then all of a sudden there was a finger. I pulled it hard and severed the finger off, which this creature shrieked and wailed, and a spray of blood squirted up and across my face, into my mouth and eyes, and I just collapsed right there on the stairs. The blood tasted horrible. I spat and coughed. My eyes burned, and I just could not get my body to do anything. I climbed up the stairs and stumbled my way through the bus, collapsing in the dining area. The next thing I knew, the sun had came up. I could feel it beaming on me. I jumped up in terror, looking around. I was dissociated and lost and had no clue on where I was. I just felt like I just had a horrible dream and there was nothing I could do about it. As I got up and I went to the bathroom to wash my face and clean myself up, I stood in the mirror and I saw blue spray, something that looked like ink, and it all came flooding back to me what happened the night before. I took a towel and I vigorously washed my face and scrubbed my skin. My eyes had a tint of blue to them. At this point, I knew I needed to go. That whatever that was last night that attacked me, if the same thing happens tonight, I'm gonna die. And there's not gonna be anything anyone can do. At this point, I know that I need to get out of here. I run to the front of the bus and I realize that I'm still blocked in. I realize there's nothing I could do. That whatever's happened to me has most likely happened to everybody else with all of their vehicles stuck here. It's just taking them longer to get to me. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock myself in the bus. But I know by tonight, this will be the end of my story. Just remember me and remember Tara. And this is the worst mistake of our lives. I don't know how or why this happened to me, but I know tonight will be my last night. I hope my friend gets his bus back. I hope everything goes well for him. I hope my mom and dad know that I didn't just disappear. This is what I get for brash midlife crisis. Well, I have to face what I've done and be ready for the consequences. Thank you to all my pea thorns for popping over and listening to this story that I have put out for you guys today. Again, a great thanks to Deadhead Panda, Creative Panda System, the Blue Rose System, Alpha Tau Zeta Omega, and Q Art Visuals. We hope to see and hear from you guys in the comments. And don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell button so that you can be informed every time we create a video. Thank you. Bye.